thank you very much for tuning back in. My name is Fonny. In my channel, I share about my experience keeping different houseplants and different tropical plants. But recently, I've been showing a lot about Hoyas. Today, it is no surprise, I'm also talking about some Hoyas that I have spotted some new growth. Now it is fast forward 2 months. I would like to share the exciting new growth that I have spotted in some of the relatively rarer Hoyas that I want to share, how I capture them and how fast they grow. And if it is interesting to you, that please keep on watching. First, I would like to get the closest one that I have over here. This one here is Hoya Burmanica. As you can see here in the close-up, Hoya Burmanica is a prolific grower. It has grown so much sets of new leaf. We can start from the left-hand side here. With reference to the 1 month update video, you can see that there's no new leaf grown after 1 month I've received it. But now, when you take a closer look of the two separate cuttings I have, basically all of these are new, and each of the node, it has one flower bud. There's one over there, this one here, there's another bud, there's new 2 sets of leaf coming up. And for the shorter cutting I have here, it also pushed out a new leaf on the side of the original flower, and in between the original cutting there's another bud on the side as well. So I think for Hoya Burmanica, it's relatively easy for it to push out peduncles, even though it is a very young cutting with only 2 months old. Yeah, so I think for this one, as long as you keep it humid and constantly moist in the substrate, it will have rewarding growth. We can take a look at the root. Yeah, and there's also roots all over this area. Yeah. Hoya Burmanica. Here we move on to Hoya Lyi. I have made a separate video mentioning about Hoya Thomsonii and Hoya Lyi when it comes to detailed care tips and also the nature of the leaf itself. But in this video, I'm going to focus on the growth compared to 1 month ago. 1 month ago, there weren't significant new leaf growth, but now, as you can see, the leaf grown out is basically larger than the original leaf. And the new leaf is very hairy. And also it has a tendril that has grown out, which is very fussy on this tendril as well. There's also a separate tendril here on the another cutting. Yeah, so this one, it grows fast, and not as fast as Hoya Burmanica, but yeah, in 2 months there is 2 new leaves on each stem, and the root has grown pretty well into the soil substrate, and as you can see, I keep it relatively moist. So it's basically always constantly moist. Maybe that's how it grows pretty well. Then we move on to another very popular Hoya. This one is Hoya Walliniana variegated. If you remember in the previous video I showed you, it has 5 leaves originally, and 2 of the very variegated one died out. And these larger 3, these 3 are original leaf that I have. I was not sure if it could make it because it was really thin. Now, when I feel the leaf, I would say it is still kind of the thickness as in the one I showed you a month ago. But it is very exciting. As you can see here, there are 2 new leaves that has grown on the side of the stem. This one is a very short cutting because originally the cutting is probably this long, but I chopped it into 2 pieces. So this one is one part of it. And the new growth has pushed out on the furthest end with a bunch of air root. And as I mentioned in the previous video, the root are pink itself. And when the leaf comes out is slightly pink. I believe if I give it a little bit more sunlight or maybe additional grow light, it will become more pink. But to me, I just want to have it grow healthily and stabilized its growth first. I'm really happy that now I got 2 more leaves. Hopefully it can continue growing until spring kicks in, so then it could be a stronger period for it to kind of rehab or just to grow happily. Let's take a look at the root. Yeah, look. There is some root all the way to the bottom. Compared to last time, there's no root can be spotted, but I'm very happy about this. Move on to another crazy grower. This one here is Hoya Mirabilis. I have a Hoya Mirabilis that is imported from Thailand. You can take a look at that in the video I just attached here. But for this one is the splash leaf type of the Hoya Mirabilis. If you can see, the splash from the new leaf is very silvery. Let me try to get it as close as possible. If you have light in it, it will have reflected. Let me try to get a close up on that. 1 second. I got myself some extra light. You can see the reflection. I hope the camera catches it. So yeah, Hoya Mirabilis is a very prolific grower, very easy to root, as I have explained in the first month video, but at the same time, it has very pretty leaves. This one is originally a 5-leaf cutting. None of the leaf has dropped out since I received it, and ever since then I think it have grown probably 6 new leaves. These 2 are new, these ones are new, and these ones are new as well. So in terms of the growth speed, it could definitely chase the Hoya Burmanica. But in terms of the growing pattern, it has really close internode growth pattern. So I think it's quite difficult to propagate it. But I'm not thinking about that now. I'll wait until probably in summertime. Let's see how this one goes. But it's a very pretty plant. Let's take a look at the root. Yeah, there are roots here all the way down. Another super exciting one. This one here is Hoya Soidaoensis. I received it as a 5-leaf cutting. I originally have this peduncle. You can see the reference video I attached. And this, I would say, there's no leaf drop since I received it. And what makes me feel very overwhelmed about this plant is it has pushed out 2 new peduncle. This is 1 new peduncle. This peduncle is actively growing. Some of the tiny buds are growing from there. And then in another cutting that is super short, if you can see, it's just probably 1.5 centimeters long. After the 1-month update I've shown you, this is the new growth with another peduncle on the end. I really don't know what to say about this. I am very surprised. Even if none of these peduncle made it, I really think that this plant is not as difficult to root and also to keep it happy. As you can see, this peduncle is probably actively growing, and these new leaves over here are also growing quite well. For Hoya Soidaoensis, I think the leaf growth is relatively slow, I would say. If you see, this pair of leaves are new. This one is new. And this pair is new. So there's in total 5 leaf growth compared to the last video I've shown you. But the size of the leaf is not as large as the original one. So I think for this plant, it is much easier to push out peduncle compared to sizing up the leaf. I think it makes sense because if it needs to push out this much peduncle, it needs to have energy uptake, and the energy is used all to the peduncle but not for the leaf growth, so the leaf growth is not as fast comparatively. Let's take a look at the roots, and we probably can get the answer of why it grows so fast. Wow, okay, yeah. It's very rooted, and that's probably the reason why, because it has enough root to push out growth. I think this plant, I will need to repot it maybe when spring hits, so it could have more space to grow the roots itself. Let's see, I'll keep you guys updated. Then we move on to another very cute Hoya. This one is Hoya GPS 7240. This one I have mentioned in the 1 month update. This Hoya doesn't grow fast. I can see a tiny little growth point, but I didn't see any new actual leaf. And now, after 1 more month, I can finally see some new leaf. The new leaf is almost like a fuzzy green bean, and not just green, but because I have an aquarium light, it also show a little bit of dark purple, and it's a little bit fussy as well, if you can see the close-up. And these ones are around 2 weeks old. Yeah, maybe 1 week. I haven't really spotted these two actually because I put it in my prop box. But these ones are a relatively younger one. And let's take a look at the root. Yeah, there is quite a bit of root go all the way to the bottom. So I would say this one, it's a very cute one. Last but not least, this is Hoya Parviflora Splash Leaf. If you see, this is 4 leaves that you saw a month ago. These are still there. The original leaves are still there. But this is the only plant has new leaf drop. If you see the stem on the right-hand side, originally, as you can refer to my video on the side, it also have a new growth point this year. But the side showed that the 2 new leaf has dropped out. I don't know if there is any new growth point yet, so I'll be patiently waiting. And fortunately, the one on the left-hand side are still growing. But I have to say, this is a very slow growing Hoya. The 2 new leaf you can see here is a 2 month worth growth. Yeah, 2 month worth growth. You didn't hear incorrectly. Compared to the other ones that I've shown you, this is the slowest grower compared to all of them. Let's take a look at the root. Maybe some of them has rotten out because it doesn't look too green and fresh for some of them. So maybe that's the reason. It could be because the pond here is too moist. These ones are a live root. If you see, that's green, and the one that I showed here, this is relatively light. So maybe there are some parts of the root has rotten because I kept it too moist. So I'll try to reduce the humidity. I hope this helped. That can teach you something new. This one here is Hoya Litophytica. Now you can finally see a little bit more leaf instead of an empty stem. As you can see, this one here is a set of new leaf growth. It is very fast growing if you give the right condition. And these are the sets of new leaf, and also there are new shoots that come from the bottom. But one thing that I would like to point out for Hoya Litophytica, it is quite easy to rot. If you see the stem over here, that is kind of yellowish, dark yellowish. That's not a good sign, but I see there are some air roots in the same stem, so I am not removing it yet. What I believe is it got rotten in the stem on the bottom, so no, it is no longer alive beneath the yellow part, but the part that is above, it still have one new leaf that came out. So let's give it a little bit more time. If the tiny leaf died out, I will take out that stem. So Litophytica, I will recommend to keep it moist in the environment, but not to keep the soil substrate too moist. Then we move on to another small leaf Hoya. This one is Hoya Chinghungensis. It is another prolific grower, very similar to Hoya Burmanica. The way that it grows is all the way on the top, and it's just branched out multiple new shoots. If you remember, I can show you on the reference side point. It is a one single long cutting. I chopped it up to many different stems. Some of them I chopped it, like put it in the pond vertically, and then it continuously grows. Some of them I want to be a little bit more secure. I don't want it to rot the stem inside the pond, so then I just put it flat like this. And both of it works, because if I put it flat like this, there's a shoot coming up, so that's a new shoot. Other ones, for example, these ones that I vertically put in, it has shoots on the side. So in that perspective, I would say the one that you put it vertically grows much faster, but at the same time, the one you put horizontally, it also works, but it just doesn't grow as fast. Yeah, you can see the fuzziness. It's slightly red because I also have the additional light. So it has a little bit of red on the new growth. Thank you very much for staying until now. I hope you enjoy this 2-month update. If you have any questions, please leave in the comment box below. Or if you have some advice for me that I can enhance the growth of these Hoyas, please let me know in the comment box below as well. If you're interested in this type of content, please subscribe and you will get the notification when I have new videos coming up. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!